think I even took roll. Richard's here, Kevin's here, David's here, Hanlon's here, Deanna's here, Alana is here, Khalil is here, Haiti is here. Just making sure I didn't miss people. Yep, okay. Shanice is here, Ariana's here, Jamie's here, CJ's here. Yay, everybody's here. That's awesome. All right. So, launching Maya. So like when I don't have class, again, just, you know, for the sake of making sure people know where I am, my schedule is outside the faculty office in the C-Dome. I will either be at the faculty or in the faculty office in the C-Dome, possibly with my headphones on, right? Working and grading and stuff like that. And so you can see if somebody will grab me from there. If you knock, I'll have headphones on and I'm in the back of the office. So I probably won't hear you knock. But if you email, I will likely get it and see it. So let me know where you are and that you're having trouble, and I'll come find you if I'm available. So if I'm not there, check a classroom, right? If this room is available, I will likely be in here because these are the most powerful computers, and I'm now teaching game classes that require these computers because the other computers are not powerful enough to do Unreal the way I want them to do. So, all right. So just for the sake of looking at, again at everything, I'm going to select the hierarchy and hit F in the outliner so I can see every joint. And again, I've named every joint. Everything is ending in _JNT. Every joint that's on the right has an _R. In the center, everything on the left is _L, and everything's spelled correctly. Okay, again, spelling is important. If you don't know what something's how something's spelled, look it up. Yes.
Do I have to have every single joint ready before I can do skinning?
Yes. Yeah, you have to have every joint ready. In your case, mirrored at the very least. Your orientation should be correct before you skin, all that stuff, right? Okay. So again, just to check these, I'm going to select the 3 joints on his left, 3 joints on his right, rotate in on Y, and they should touch, right? If I do rotate, I don't have to rotate the bottom one because that orientation really, even though it matters, it doesn't really matter. I can select from here, but I'm just going to shift select up through until I hit the neck or even the head, right? Rotate on Z, and it should create an arc. I should have no accordioning at all. This is all of the orientations that are necessary, absolutely 100%. Other than maybe this joint right here. But the default usually works. It should work like that, not like this. You know. So as long as the orientation of that joint is going down the arm and not off to the side when you rotate Z or something like that, then you should be okay. Okay. And again, this one is only going to rotate the base joint on Z, so that's going to be fine. All right. Now, to get into skinning, and again, I wanted to start this over the last couple of days, but I just didn't have time with everything that I had going on. I had last quarter grades due and stuff like that. So what we're going to start, what the assignment sheet and the book are requesting, so let me get you guys back up here to chat, is that you use what's called interactive skinning to start. Okay, there's interactive skinning, and there's also, let me go to the rigging menu, just bind skin. There's interactive bind skin, and there's just bind skin. So when you're asked on the quiz/exam, what are the two different kinds of skinning? That's your answer. Interactive and regular.
Skin
Or
bind skin.
you have bind skin and interactive bind skin. Now, it's asking you to use interactive to start. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my base joint, spine 01, right? And I'm going to shift select the body geometry. Okay, I'm not going to skin the eyeballs. I'll show you how to set those up. They're very similar to the alien eye that we had before, with some small differences. Just realized I'm missing a button on my cuff. That's upsetting. Oh well. So select the base joint, shift select the body geometry, not the eyeballs, and do skin, interactive bind skin. I'm going to pull open the options just to take a peek. Joint hierarchy is good. Closest distance is fine. I might change this to dual quaternion. I'll see what that does. It's just a different algorithm that could give potentially better results. And I'm going to do a max influences of 3. Yeah, I'm going to do that. All right. So the only thing I changed was dual quaternion, max influences of 3. Okay. Now, I'm going to click bind skin. And what it does is it comes up with these interactive little pieces. Oops. Okay, there it is. And in order to affect this, what you do is you grab these little pieces, these handles, and you move them around, right? I can, hold on. I can click and drag this to pull it out. I can click and drag this to pull it out. I can click and drag that to make it wider. I can click and drag that. Okay. You don't have to use your move tool, your scale tool, your rotate tool. You just click and drag, right? And the color that's affected here, the redder the color, the more effect it has on the body. Okay. So I'm just demonstrating how this looks, right? So if I were to, come on, that would move that as a whole. That rotates it as a whole, but it really doesn't have any effect on it. So if I were to pull that down, scale it out like this, right? Okay, because I want, this is this first joint that's selected here, right? If I select this joint, it pulls up another one, and I can pull that out and pull that out and stuff like that, okay? But what I wanted to show you on this is while you are checking your skinning, okay, what you want to do is you want to pose your character, okay? Because skinning is all about the deformation of the geometry.
How did you want us to move? Want us to like move it?
I will in a moment. Skinning is all about the geometry, the deformation of the geometry, right? So if I'm working on the spine, I want to check and see how the spine deforms. So I'm going to select this base joint, shift select up through the spine, up to the neck, just like we did when we were testing it for orientation. I'm going to rotate the spine, right? And we'll see how the geometry is being affected by these joints. The eyes, again, are going to be left behind. That's not a problem. That's because we didn't skin the eyes, right? But while I have this selected, if I reselect my interactive skinning tool, which is right here, or I can hit Y to reselect it, right? You'll be able to see that whenever I move it, the geometry changes how it deforms. Look at this right here, right? So if I click and drag that, you'll see that it's bad deformation there. I pull this back up and it gets a lot smoother, right? And you know, this will make it even more controlled on the bottom and stuff like that, right? If I select the next joint, you'll see how that is being affected, right? This is bad, right? That's obviously bad, right? I'm creating problems to show you how that is bad, right? And so you want basically a smooth transition from one joint to the next. Now, the spine is likely going to be okay, right? There's not really a whole lot of problem on the spine just because it's fairly simple, right? But you want to watch these areas in here. You want to watch how it affects into the armpit and stuff like that, right? And you don't want to go too high. You don't want to go into the neck, right? So I'm going to pull this one down a little bit, and I'm going to go to the next joint, and I'm going to extend that out this way a little bit. And just kind of like play with this a little. I'm going to take my head joint. Actually, I'm going to select, I'm pretty happy with how the spine works, right? The spine by default is pretty simple. It's simply a chain, right? I rotate this back up like this. I can also twist my spine, right? So how does that look, right? I could probably use a little bit more overlap here. That's a little bit chunky right there, a little bit chunky right there, right? Okay. So I might go in and adjust that. I reposition my, reselect my interactive tool, and I might make that wider, right? Blend that out a little bit more. See what I'm saying? So this tool is really made as a starting point for your skinning, right? Just a way to get a general idea of how you want to set this up. And when it said in my interactive, when it said max influences, what that means is that every vertex, because this is done by vertex, every vertex on this object every vertex on this object is weighted to be controlled by a maximum of 3 joints, right? Again, here, max influences 3, okay? So if you can actually check this. If I select, I'm just going to select a few vertices here. I'm just going to select these 3, right? You can actually check the weighting on this. I'm giving you a little bit more than what I usually do at this point, right? But you can actually check the weighting on this. If I select these 3 vertices, you can go to Windows, I'm trying to remember where it is. Let me see. Yeah, general editors, component editor. Windows general editors, component editor. And if I open this up and I look at smooth skins, it tells me vertex 302, 1124, and 1426. This is percentages with a maximum of 1, right? 1 is 100%. Spine 2 affects vertex 302, 40.8%. Spine 3, 21%. And it looks like it's only getting 2 on each of these. So these are only being controlled by 2, spine 2 and spine 3. If I select some other vertices, there you have 0.6, 0.49, right? These are being controlled, and it shows how these are being controlled. I don't know why I'm getting... These should equal 1, but they're only equaling 0.853 for some reason. But anyway, you can check your weighting within this component editor. So every single vertex is controlled by a maximum, that's why, by a maximum of 3 joints, right? So just to bring that up, right? I'm happy with the influences on these joints right here, right? What I want to do when I'm done testing is I want to zero out my rotations. So I select all those joints that I used for this test, highlight, rotate XYZ, hit 0, and it should pop back to my bind position. Again, this is why we don't freeze transformations on Translate X, right? We don't want Translate X to go to 0 because that's what happens, right? Okay, that would be problematic. It needs those translations, right? Okay, I love showing funny things like that. This is why we freeze transformations on rotate on these joints, right? If there's translate information on the rotate of these joints, when I zero them out, they won't go back to default. Okay. So again, as I said before you skin, it's a good idea to select your hierarchy and freeze transformations on rotate only, right? Okay. So that will make sure that if you reposition your joints through rotation, that this is their new default position. See what I'm saying?
Supposed to have the little thingy around it, a little color.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm getting back to that now.
It keeps like switching back and forth. And
I know I'm explaining problems and side things as I go. Right. Now, for the clavicle here, okay, this is a little bit problematic. It's not bad, but it's pulling on the neck a little bit too much here. So I'm gonna select my interactive tool. I'm just gonna dial that back a little bit. I'm just gonna pull that back just a little from there, and I might check the next one as well. I think that one could probably go a little bit less this way. Right.
This is the weight painting thing.
Yeah, this is interactive weight painting. It's not the way to get the best results. It's quick and easy, simple weight painting, right? Okay. So for here, this we want more of our arm, right? Again, we want to test this by moving the elbow, right? This is a problem, right? So I want to pull that back a little bit. And I want to check here, and I want to pull this back a little bit. Right? Because I don't want my upper arm to affect almost my wrist, right? So I want to give that a nice transition right through there. And this one, I'll pull that back a smidge right there, right? For the arm, or for the hand, I should say, I want to rotate that. That's obviously a problem, right? So I pull this back like this. But I want the thumb to be affected, so I want to give it some width, right? Basically, it's a glove, you know, so I can do that. And you want to test it both directions, right? Like that. Okay, zero that out, zero this out. The shoulder, I didn't test the shoulder yet, right? The shoulder is having some issues. And actually, some of this might be because other joints are affecting this geometry right there, right? So if I select this one, that one's dialed back, that's okay. This one, that's affecting it, right? So I need to pull that back. Go back to my shoulder. It's okay. It's not great. I may need to go here and pull that one back as well. I'll take this little blue handle if I can get it and dial that back a little bit like that. See what I'm saying? All right, so you want to test this both up and down, right? Down, I might have some pinching under the armpit, right? So again, I want to check that. Here, the influence seems okay. I might dial that back a little bit. I think that's all right. That's okay. And reset my rotation back to zero. Okay, I'll do that on both sides. I want to go on to the head. The head is pulling the chest up a little bit. Why is that? Well, it doesn't seem to be from the chest itself. It's probably from the jaw, right? Because that's closer to the chest, right? So I'm going to dial the jaw influence down like that. So that's okay. Bring this back and test that. I'm pretty happy with that. Let me rotate Z back. You also want to check the head left to right. This orientation isn't perfect, but we're not really using this kind of control on this head all that much, so it'll be fine. And you want to check the jaw. Make sure that the jaw has some good deformation. This is not really all that great. Now, this is not a great character, so I'm not going to get the type of control that I want for good deformation on the jaw, right? There's only so much we can do. I might pull this out a little bit, make it wider, pull this up a little bit. And maybe pull that. I don't know. It's just not great, right? Let me try this joint here, or actually, I'll do this joint here. Dial that back. Make this wider or less. I don't know. Actually, yeah. So let me test this joint because that might be a little bit better. But yeah, these cheeks, they're just problematic. So there's not a ton that I can really do about that. But let me see, perhaps that's doing a little bit. Oh, that back of the head joint is a little bit funky. Why is that? Let me try and rotate this. So things like that, right? I'm not too concerned about the mouth, right? There's only so much we can do because we can fix that with the other types of skinning that we have for fixing these issues.
You said the more red it was, the what now?
Red is almost 100% controlled,
Okay.
right? So the back of the head joint is going to control the head, right? I want to rotate that back to 0, right? So yeah, red is close to 100% of control, and then it blends through yellow to blue for less. Think about hot and cool, right? So, so that's okay. And I'll just quickly dial this back because we're almost at break.
Is it possible to just mirror what you did on one side with the arms to the
Well,
other?
that's a good question. Let me see if I can, because mirroring sometimes doesn't work the way you want it to. So let me select it because it's all about the geometry that's being applied on. So let me try this. If I go to skin, mirror skin weights, right? I'm going to reset this just in case. This is XY from positive to negative. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to try label and hit apply. Now we're not going to see what happened when we mirror it until we move the joint, right? So that's obviously not the right settings.
So the best action is just to like try to
Let's try
mimic
closest
one
joint.
side to the other as best as you can, essentially.
Yeah, basically. Let me try this again. I'm doing from negative to positive instead of positive to negative. And let's see if that makes a difference. So this one was okay. That's okay. It's not great.
Slight adjustment.
Yeah, some slight adjustment. Yeah, yeah. This is almost as if it wasn't done, right? So, so yeah, I've never had a good, and you can actually, and I'll say this, and then we can go to break. I'm going to save as real quick. You can actually transfer your paint weights from one version of the character to another version of the character. And I've never had success with that working very well either. So like the automatic tools in Maya for weighting don't seem to work very well, right? From what I've seen. Either I'm missing something, which is probably the case, or it's just hasn't been fixed. Okay. But I'll come back after the break and we'll I'll show you how to make little tweaks for like the cheeks and adjusting the other side and stuff like that. Right. All right. So let's go to break.